What is going on, but it's the France, and we're here for Unscripted episode 70. We did not do it this week in Unscripted because this is a special day. It is Double or Nothing tonight from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, Double or Nothing is going to be a huge show. I cannot wait. I will be watching it at home. I wish I could go to StarCast. Wish I could have went to Double or Nothing. Just not there yet. Maybe next time. But tonight is Double or Nothing. I'm looking forward to that. Make sure to go to my channel and look at the predictions. I did put up a video for all 9 matches that are official. I did go over all the AEW news for the week, except for something that came up last night, or yesterday, after my show went on YouTube, and that is Dean Malenko has signed with AEW. So congratulations on Dean Malenko. Good to see that guy is going to be used to his full potential backstage. He was a hell of a producer, and WWE let him go just because they could. And honestly, I'm just going to tell you right now, they made a mistake. We'll go over a couple things with Cody Rhodes and how this all came to be before we get into Double or Nothing tomorrow, because I will be putting my review on Double or Nothing tomorrow on the channel. I want to give this at least a day to breathe. And with Double or Nothing coming up, I want it to have its own day to breathe. So that's going to be on the channel tomorrow. Look forward to that. But as we do every single week, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, we go over big highlights from the show. Biggest thing, two big things coming out of Monday Night Raw. The Revival and the Usos got about 11 and a half to maybe 12 minutes of time on TV. I think it was a little bit longer than that, whichever. And they put on one hell of a match. This was what I've been wanting to see from the Usos and the Revival since the Superstar Shakeup. You know, the first day the Usos came down the week after they were added to the Monday Night Raw brand, and they're rapping their theme music. What the hell was that? That was awful, and I hope we don't see that again. Then they start picking fun of the Revival, and this also coincided with the fact that the Revival turned down a 5-year contract with $500,000 a year. And WWE, Vince McMahon decided, well, what do? We're going to make fun of these guys. We're going to embarrass them, so when they leave, then nobody's going to want to hire them. So what do we get? We get Manscaping, which, by the way, Manscaping is a company that sells products for, manscaping for guys. They actually contacted, I think it was Dash of the Revival, wanting to be a sponsor to the Revival, which I think that blew up in WWE's face, and I find that hilarious. And then the next week, we got, instead of Icy Hot, we got Oozy Hot. And Vince McMahon thought that shit was funny. It wasn't. That was embarrassing. But this week, we got what we needed to see. I fucking loved the match we got. It was awesome. As Bayley posted on Twitter after that match came up, Usos versus Revival, give me more. And I agree 110%. Definitely want to see the Revival versus the Usos. Get the Revival to win the tag team titles again. Have a SummerSlam match between these two teams. 2 out of 3 falls. Give them 30 minutes. 2 out of 3 falls, 30 minutes or 25, whatever. Give these guys 2 out of 3 falls or something, and you will get a classic for SummerSlam. It will be probably one of the best matches of the year. Honestly, the Revival versus the Usos. If I'm splitting it up, Raw, SmackDown, NXT for matches of the year for their brands, SmackDown has any of the matches between Andrade Cien Almas and Rey Mysterio. And right now, the Usos versus the Revival is Raw's match of the year over the they did a gauntlet match this year, didn't they? No, that was SmackDown. That was actually SmackDown this year. No. But yeah, the Usos versus the Revival is Raw's match of the year for me at this time. We still got months to go, but I don't think we're going to see any better unless we get them again and a lot more. Just want to put that out there. During the third hour, they decided they wanted to change the color scheme to try and keep us interested. They're trying everything they can for the third hour because the third hour has always been a major drop. Even though the ratings was up on Monday Night Raw, it was up slightly, and this is going to get old fast. And the fact that it's just the ratings are going up slightly, but it's not a big enough difference to say, hey, what they're doing is working. It's just not. And by the time the NFL season starts, if they don't have the ratings back into anywhere close to a 3, which I don't think they're going to, the NFL is going to crush Monday Night Raw so badly that I think they're going to be below 2 million or close to it. But of course, what happened? What is the most talked about thing coming out of Monday Night Raw? The ugly, disgusting 24/7 championship. I'm telling you right now, and I don't think I have the picture anymore. No, I don't. That's my bad. I'm telling you right now, this picture was this title was the ugliest thing I have ever seen. And I think I could go, I guarantee you, and I don't know because I don't have 2K19, 2K19. I guarantee you there are creators out there for 2K19 who could go out there onto that title creation suite or whatever they call it, and make a better 24/7 championship than what you got for Monday Night Raw. Now, who came up with the 24/7 title? We all think it's Vince McMahon, and quite honestly, it's Vince McMahon. Everything goes through Vince McMahon, so quite honestly, there's a reason that the 24/7 title was one main reason for the new 24/7 title was the USA Network, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. USA Network officials have reportedly been complaining for some time about the drop in ratings for Raw. In particular, the third hour. The network has continuously pushed Vince McMahon to try and fix the third hour, as the 10-11 hour show of the show always was the highest rated until recent years. Here's an idea: put the show back to 2 hours. That's how you fix that. You want higher ratings? Put the show back to 2 hours. All Elite Wrestling is starting in October, most likely. And Cody, Tony Khan, and I believe Randy have also come out and said they're going to be 2 hours. That is the sweet spot. Put Raw back to 2 hours. Hey, USA, you're complaining. Hey, maybe you should realize that 3 hours has never been a good idea. Never. The third hour dropped so bad in recent weeks that WWE officials recognized they had to do something. The move goes back to the idea of allowing top superstars, SmackDown superstars to appear on Raw, and to make sure the Blue Brand show doesn't become a secondary show while it's preparing for the move to Fox in October. Yeah, see, this would have been, if USA would have had, if they would have re-signed the contract to USA for both shows, they would just forget about it. SmackDown would become a highlight show for Raw again. They would have ended the brand split like that. But since SmackDown's going to Fox, WWE cannot let SmackDown become the bitch show anymore. SmackDown has to actually feel like it's an important show, because if it goes to Fox and it's just a bitch show again like it was for so many years, Fox ain't going to be too happy. USA officials have been reportedly sending WWE all sorts of ideas of late, an attempt to bring up the third hour. One source close to the situation described all the ideas as terrible. But the best idea was the 24/7 title, and Vince McMahon knew he had to take one of them. No, you didn't. You didn't have to do that. You could have called USA Network up and listen, here's the thing. You don't know how to run a wrestling business. You gave us the money to run our wrestling business, so let us do our job. You sit there. You collect the paycheck that we get you. You collect the money that we earn you, and shut the fuck up. That's simple. There is absolutely no reason this title, and these people are like, oh, the positives, all the guys who don't get put on TV are going to be running for this title. Yeah, in 2-second segments. As soon as Mick Foley said, we're going to do what we call a scramble, I'm going to put this title on the map, I'm going to go out to the ring, I'm going to go out to the, I'm going to go sit down on my ringside, and the first superstar to get this will be the first champion. That title was already deemed a joke. And then you have this, and Brian Alvarez put this best on Wrestling Observer's, him and Dave Meltzer reviewing the show, put this best. This scramble felt like the TNA Reverse Battle Royal, when nobody knew how to just run into the ring and get the fucking title. If no one knows what the Reverse Battle Royal is, it was a couple years ago. I think they did 2 of them. TNA decided we're going to have 20 superstars, there's 20 or 30 superstars outside the ring. 5 or 10 superstars have to get into the ring, and then they'll have a normal battle royal. And then the final 2 people would be pinfall or submission for the final 2 when it gets down to 2. So in those battle royals, you would see people literally sitting around on their asses because they have spots planned out, and just sit there and not get into the ring. It was just a complete mess, and that's exactly what this was, a complete fucking mess and a joke. So, Titus O'Neil ends up becoming the first champion. Doesn't even make it to Gorilla. Robert Roode rolls him up and gets a 1, 2, 3. So within 30 seconds, with not even like 2 minutes or a minute, you have two champions. So Bobby Roode loses to R-Truth later in the night after R-Truth tricks gets him into his car, hides him in his trunk, sends everyone the other way, hits something on him, pins him 1, 2, 3, and R-Truth has still held the 24/7 championship. I don't know, and I really don't care if it's at a house show or anything, but as of right now, R-Truth is probably going to hold the title for at least 7 days. Unless something happens in the next few days, and he'll probably hold it till SmackDown because I don't think he will show up on Monday Night Raw. So there's your 24/7 championship. And it's really sad. Because you see Monday Night Raw, and you see Cedric Alexander. You see Robert Roode. You see R-Truth on this show going for this championship. Those three guys deserve so much better. Cedric Alexander yesterday comes out and says, I'm going to name myself the main event champion. Cool. I'm like, this is sad. This is absolutely sad that a guy so talented has been regulated to main event, and somebody who should be U.S. or Intercontinental Champion, maybe in the world title opportunity, world title picture for the WWE or Universal Championship. If Mustafa Ali could be facing Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens at Fastlane for the WWE Championship and Money in the Bank for a chance to be able to cash in on Seth Rollins or Kofi Kingston, Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy, who both have not been seen on SmackDown. Well, Buddy Murphy hasn't been seen on SmackDown, and Cedric has only been seen on Raw once. Those two should be in the running for either one of those championships too. This is no excuse. We go to SmackDown and you see Cruiserweight champ. You see former Cruiserweight champion Brian Kendrick. You see Noam Dar, who is one of the most talented guys on the fucking roster, took Pete Dunne to the limit, and I believe it was August or September when it showed up on the network, took him to the limit and won hell of a UK championship match, running for this 24/7 championship. Matt Hardy, WWE legend, Attitude Era legend, a legend of this business, future Hall of Famer, running to try and win this 24/7 championship. Man, how the mighty has fallen for everyone. Absolutely a disgrace. Absolutely a disgrace. Other than that, not much else has happened on Monday Night Raw. SmackDown Live, though, had a big shocker because of one thing. Kevin Owens, we'll talk about in a bit, Kevin Owens is not going to Saudi Arabia. And the plan going in before this revelation happened was that Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston would have a rematch for the WWE Championship. That is not going to happen. Kofi took on Sami Zayn. Kofi actually looked like somebody who was taking his job seriously, wasn't acting like a fucking man-child anymore. When Big E went down, he came out because, Big E fingered Kevin Owens in the attack. So what does he do? He comes out, has a match with Kevin Owens' best friend Sami Zayn, all serious, wants to beat this motherfucker. It's like, your best friend took my friend out, so I'm going to take your ass out. And they had a pretty decent match, but it wasn't about the match, it was after the match. Paul Heyman comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase, because of course he has that. Makes it look like Brock might come over and cash in, which quite honestly, if you were going to have Brock Lesnar cash in on Kofi, Tuesday would have been the perfect time, especially after what happened. After the fact that you had Dolph Ziggler, of all people, come from behind and beat the living piss out of Kofi Kingston, you had no better time than to have Brock Lesnar come out and cash in, but of course that wasn't going to happen. And then with the fact that you had Dolph Ziggler later in the night challenge Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship at Saudi Arabia's Super Showdown, which again, abstaining from, not watching, I don't see any chance of Brock Lesnar cashing in. And you kind of, having Dolph Ziggler come out this past Tuesday and saying, I'm going to Saudi Arabia to face you, Kofi, for the title, kind of takes the entire mystery of who he's going to cash in on. Well, of course, we're getting Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Unless Brock Lesnar, and here's the thing, unless Brock Lesnar is winning the title at Saudi Arabia, that is 3 years in a row. 3 years, count them, 17, 18, 19, where the men's Money in the Bank ladder match winner lost and failed to cash in. That is absolutely pathetic, man. Absolutely pathetic. You could have found any fucking way. You could have had You could have had somebody like you could have had Becky Lynch down, out, like having look like she's gonna, because it's already been established in WWE canon that they're together. We know this. They could have did something to have Brock Lesnar look like he's going to give her the F5 or whatever, used her to get to Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins gives Brock Lesnar a rematch for the Universal Championship at Saudi Arabia. I know it's Becky Lynch, so it was going to be hard to do that, but come on. You wasted any of these guys. You could have made a new star out of Mustafa Ali. You could have made a star out of Ricochet. You could, USA Network wants stars. Fox wants stars. Why the fuck wouldn't you make one at Money in the Bank? You had Andrade Cien. You had Mustafa Ali. You had Ricochet. You had Drew McIntyre. These 4 guys alone, one of them winning the Money in the Bank would have made them a huge star. Especially if you have one of these guys win and cash in on the night of the first episode of SmackDown Live on Fox. That would have been a huge thing, having the Money in the Bank ladder match winner. And because of the wildcard rule, anybody can cash in on anybody. You could have had Drew McIntyre or Ricochet come out on SmackDown. I'm going to say Drew McIntyre. You could have had Drew McIntyre come out on SmackDown, Claymore kick whoever, if it's still Kofi, Claymore kick Kofi in the head, take the WWE Championship, and be the new WWE Champion on that night. That would have been fucking huge. But no, we got to give it to Brock Lesnar, because we can't any way creatively give him a Universal Championship rematch. It's just so pathetic. So fucking pathetic that that's what they had to do. So fucked up. So yeah, Kofi versus Ziggler at Super Showdown. It's on Ziggler's only back to take that money from Saudi Arabia. Roman and Elias put us to sleep by having the match that we didn't want to see at Money in the Bank. So they put it on SmackDown Live. And of course, it was as boring and pathetic and boring as fuck as we all thought it was going to be. And the only other thing really to talk about is the fact that Bayley and Becky Lynch teamed up to take on the McMahon twins of Lacey Evans and Charlotte Flair, and they won. Surprisingly, SmackDown had everybody who has a championship seemed to have won this week, except I think everyone who wrestled on main roster TV who has a championship won their match. So is this a new precedent in WWE that champions who can win non-title matches? I'm not holding my breath, but it seemed like most, if not all, who were in a non-title match and were the champion won at post on Raw or SmackDown. Just gonna put that out there. Moving over to NXT, Strong versus Matt Riddle was made for NXT TakeOver, which stems from what happened in the previous week. A returning Tyler Breeze comes out and knocks Dream out after saying, if you put your phone number on your tights and nobody calls you, it's because nobody's interested. That was awesome. It was a great promo, great back and forth between these two. I cannot wait to see Tyler Breeze back on an NXT show. Let's see what this guy can do. It's been forever since this guy got to do what he loves to do. And it's going to be great, in my opinion. Tyler Breeze versus the Velveteen Dream is going to be awesome. Of course, the Undisputed Era opened the show back and better than ever since after the attack on Matt Riddle the week before. Matt Riddle attacked them from behind after Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole have a war of words back and forth with each other. That set up the main event of Gargano and Riddle versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, thanks to a bonehead move by Johnny Gargano to take out Adam Cole and the referee getting distracted. Matt Riddle a jumping knee from Roderick Strong and a fall of man by Red Dragon for the 1-2-3. Matt Riddle and Johnny Gargano lose to Undisputed Era as we get ready towards NXT TakeOver 25. Now, usually, if you got a big match at a TakeOver or a pay-per-view on the whole, I'm not a big fan of people losing. And this wasn't clean, so I'm okay with it. As long as you don't lose clean, I'm okay with it. You need to be protected. And Johnny Gargano losing. Johnny Gargano didn't take the pin. And title doesn't look weak because he got outnumbered because of Roderick Strong coming in and like knocking him out. That was Raw, SmackDown, NXT for the week. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff this week. It's not going to be as big of a show as we usually have, just because Double or Nothing is tonight, and I already went over all the NXT, all the AEW news yesterday on the show on the channel. So again, make sure to go check that out. Also, make sure to check out Raw, SmackDown, and NXT this past week. And if you want to see what we talked about last week on the show, episode 70 is also up on the channel, as well as Money in the Bank, and how pathetic. With 6 days to go before Double or Nothing, Vince McMahon sticks it to the fans and 7 superstars in the Money in the Bank ladder match by having Brock Lesnar. They were so fucking desperate for ratings that they had to pull out the Brock Lesnar panic card. How long can they do that before it doesn't work anymore? It's just so pathetic. I wish WWE would do better, but we all know they're not going to. Charlotte Flair to become 17-time champion as soon as possible. News that comes as a surprise to no one, and this I can obviously tell, and I'm sure you can too. Dave Meltzer has reported on the Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE is trying to get Charlotte Flair to 17 titles as soon as possible in order for her to overtake her father's record. There's a reason John Cena has not hit that 17 number. It's because they don't want him to break that Ric Flair's record anymore. They want Charlotte to do it. Following her minute-long reign at Money in the Bank, Charlotte currently sits at 9 reigns, which is pretty insane when you think that she only debuted on the main roster in July 2015. Whether Ric Flair's recent poor health has anything to do with it, WWE's desire to get Charlotte to that magical 17 is unclear, but it does mean that the SmackDown Women's title will likely be hot potatoed around to make it easier for Charlotte to keep building up their reigns. This will likely devalue the belt. This will very much devalue the belt. Just go back to Monday Night Raw from SummerSlam of 2016 till WrestleMania 2017, and how many times Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks hot-shotted that title around. It was like a hot potato where they just threw it back and forth. And actually, it was from SummerSlam to, I believe, Fastlane, because that was the last time she held that championship. She won the title like 4 or 5 times. There will likely be, it'd be pretty much title feud going forward, so I hope you like the figure 4 leg lock and big boots. There's plenty of debate as to whether Ric Flair's total of 16 championships is valid. It's a bullshit record, we all know that. Given that he himself claims to be a 21-time champion, but as it's the figure that WWE recognizes that counts, 17 is the magic number for Charlotte to reach. It doesn't matter how many championship title reigns you have. If you don't have any memorable title reigns, nobody's gonna fucking care. She is a 9-time champion. You know how many memorable title reigns she has? 1. Her NXT Women's Championship title reign, where she had to actually go through a tournament to win it after Paige vacated it. She had that excellent match with her father and Bret Hart in Natalia's and her respective corners. The excellent fatal 4-way between Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley, where Sasha Banks snuck and won that championship. I believe there was a match between Bayley and Charlotte Flair in between there. There were good matches in that thing. Other than that, the title has been hot-shotted with Charlotte so many times, it's just absolutely pathetic. Why anyone is going to look back, oh, she wants the title 17 times. Look at her days days as champion. It's going to be very, very minimal. Ric Flair held 16 championships plus over decades, and he started in the 70s, I believe. His last world title reign came in 1995 and 96. So the fact that they want to give her 17 title reigns within 5 or 6 years, she's on year 4 right now, is just stupid. It's not going to mean anything. It's not going to make her a legend. It's not going to make her legendary whatsoever. She's just going to be, she's always and forever will be Ric Flair's daughter. I don't care if Ric Flair came out and said she's Charlotte's dad now. It's the other way around. It's not Ric Flair. She's not Ric Flair's daughter. I'm Charlotte's dad. Bullshit. I don't give a fuck what he said that. It's always going to be, hey, you're Ric Flair's daughter. Plain and simple. That is all. That's how she is always going to be viewed out by the fans. And believe me, it's what the fans think that matters. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. She is Ric Flair's daughter, and that is all it ever be. And no matter how many, she could win 25 championship reigns. Have 25 championship reigns. She could have 100 championship reigns. If it's just a minute here, a month there, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, they don't matter anything. It's like The Miz saying, I'm going to be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time because he's, what is he? A few days or so away from having the most cumulative days as champion. That's over, 8 or 9 championship reigns. The Honky Tonk Man did that in one title reign, I believe. Or was it? It's not the Honky Tonk Man, that's one. I think it's Pedro Morales. Pedro Morales did that in 3 title reigns, if I'm correct. It's not the same. Time, length of championship reigns and total championship reigns mean absolutely nothing if you went nowhere with it and did nothing with the championship. Charlotte Flair has never elevated any of these championships. Charlotte Flair has done nothing but diminish and devalue each and every one of the championships that she has held. I mean, it's kind of hard not to... okay, I'm going to have to, pull that back a little bit. You can't devalue the Divas Championship because that title was shit before Charlotte Flair held it. But other than that, the Raw Women's Championship and the SmackDown Women's Championship, she has done nothing to elevate those titles. Becky Lynch has. Ronda Rousey helped elevate the Raw Women's Championship. That's gone to shit since, even though Becky Lynch has tried her best. This is just facts. Charlotte Flair winning 17 championships is not going to fucking matter because when she wins the title and then she loses the title, it doesn't matter. Now, the fact that Bayley has the championship, she's going to lose it to Charlotte Flair probably at Stomping Grounds, and then Charlotte's probably going to hold it till SummerSlam, and Bayley will most likely win it again. Then Bayley will probably lose it to at the next pay-per-view, and then Bayley or Ember Moon will win it at the next pay-per-view. Charlotte Flair is probably going to be like a 12-time champion before this year ends. I just feel that. The only reason Charlotte Flair is not a 10-time champion right now, and the fact that she hasn't held the title since Hell in a Cell, is simple. They wanted Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. They did not want Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, and that's why Becky Lynch, when it was supposed to go into that match against Ronda Rousey, that didn't happen. And Charlotte Flair has been built to try. It was going to be Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey in that main event. And that would have been a shit show. You think it was bad at WrestleMania? It would have been worse without Becky Lynch. So yeah, Charlotte Flair to be a 17-time world champion in no time. Not a surprise, but it's not going to mean a damn thing when all your title reigns are a month and a half or less. Well, most of them are. None of them have been memorable. She hasn't elevated the title. She's actually devalued the title every time. Moving on here, AJ Styles confirms he has signed his last contract for wrestling ever. Back in March, AJ Styles revealed in a very funny way is that he took a picture of his new puppy that he's expanding his family by adding a puppy, and said, "Here's our new puppy. By the way, I signed a WWE contract." So I thought that was kind of funny. Now, in an interview with Newsweek, he revealed that the deal will be his last. He says this, and I quote, "I can tell you that this contract that I've signed is my last. This is the perfect place for me to be. It's family-oriented. I have no problem taking my family to shows. It's a PG product, which I enjoy. I'm in the best place I can ever be for my career." Well, it's maybe a PG project, AJ, but I don't think anybody can enjoy Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. I'm just going to say that right now. Styles is 41 years old and has been one hell of a career in the professional wrestling. He is quite possibly one of the best. He is one of the greatest wrestlers in history of the industry, at least as far as his work in the ring. He's also had one hell of a run in WWE, better than anyone could ever expect when he signed 3 years ago. Gee, I don't know, 2-time U.S. champion, 2-time WWE champion, one of those being over a little over a year. A lot better than most people who come into WWE who've never been in here. Just look at Samoa Joe. Pretty much the same path that AJ Styles has run, and his only main roster championship was the United States Championship, and did nothing with it. Not his fault. It's just WWE making the champions look like shit. What else is left to do well? Being the Universal Champion, obviously, there's a lot of things I want to do, and they don't involve having every belt I can. That's not what it is. I want to be a household name. I want them to know that when they hear my name, they think WWE, or when they hear WWE, they think AJ Styles. I want them to be entertaining and take it into the next level. I want to make people watching from home laugh out loud. There's a lot of things I want to do, and they don't have to always evolve around championships just to go out there and entertain. And there you go. Congratulations, AJ Styles. Most likely, when his wrestling career is over, I believe he signed a 3-year deal. This is before WWE was signing 5-year deals or something. He'll be done in about 2022, 2023, probably, maybe 2024. So, great for him. And I'm pretty sure when he's done wrestling, he'll be transitioning to a coach in NXT for the Performance Center. And it's not him. His family does live in Florida still, so it wouldn't be a terrible move from where they live now, which I think they live in. I think they still live in Gainesville, maybe. But definitely going to be that'd be great for him, and it's great to see that he's got. If he's happy, that's all that matters. As long as you're happy and doing what you're doing, that's all that matters. There's news on Kevin Owens and Aleister Black not going to Super Showdown. As I mentioned in the opening of this, Kevin Owens is not going to Super Showdown, but so is there's 4 guys not going to Super Showdown. Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, and Aleister Black and Kevin Owens. Daniel Bryan didn't want to go to Crown Jewel, so that's what happened last time. Sami Zayn did not go to either of the Saudi shows. One, he was injured, and for the second one, and the first one, he didn't go. He wasn't allowed to go because of his religion or his origin of birth. He's probably I can't remember what he actually is, but he's not allowed to go because of his religion, I believe. It's been reported Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Aleister Black will not be appearing at the upcoming Super Showdown event on Friday, June 7th in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Dave Meltzer reported to the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that Black's absence was a company decision due to some of his tattoos having a religious connotation. Black has generally kept quiet regarding the meaning behind his body art, although he did reveal the meaning of his back tattoo in an interview with the Daily Star 2 years ago. He says, and I quote, "I don't really talk about the meaning of my tattoos, but I will give you that one. The being on my back is Lilith. From some folklore, she is the first woman to ever rebel against paradise. The reason she is there for equality for every man and woman, which is the most important thing there is. Bryan is likely not appearing at the event for the same reasons that he skipped last November's Crown Jewel show in Riyadh. While he wrestled at the first big show in Saudi Arabia, the Greatest Royal Rumble, last April, he had since learned more of the country's treatment of homosexuals. Bryan was also upset that Sami Zayn was not being allowed on those shows because of his Syrian ancestry, which he felt was racist. Saudi Arabia cut ties with Syria in 2012, and Sami Zayn had started a Sami for Syria mobile clinic in Syria in 2017. WWE issued the following statement at the time regarding Zayn's absence from the event. WWE is committed to embracing individuals for all backgrounds while respecting local customs and cultural differences around the world. According to The Observer, company sources stated that Owens is declining to work the show because his family asked him not to go. Which, of course, family first more than anything you ever go through. Family comes first. It was noted that there has been other reasons, including Zayn not being allowed to work the show. Owens had been in a program with WWE Champion Kofi Kingston. Dolph Ziggler was pulled out of an appearance in Australia the weekend of Super Showdown and will now face Kingston for the title. The only star that refused to work Crown Jewel was John Cena, who is not scheduled before the Super Showdown. WWE Super Showdown takes place on Friday, June 7th from King Abdullah Sports City Kingdom Abdullah International Stadium in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and that is that. So I honestly understand why Aleister Black's not going. I mean, he has so many tattoos, and you can definitely tell there's a lot of religious connotations. And the fact that he doesn't talk about them is pretty much he wants to leave them up to your own interpretation. And in my opinion, if you're spending all your time looking at what the guy has on his skin for body art, you need to get a life and fix your priorities. Let the guy work in the ring. He's tattooed up. So fucking what? Let the guy work in the ring and let the guy show you what he can do. But I understand why they do that because the people in Saudi Arabia are butthurt about a couple things. They're racist. They're bigots. They're sexist against women, and WWE doesn't want to have anything happen. So Aleister Black gets to stay home and spend time with his wife, which is nice. What WWE should do, and I don't know if they're going to do this, is have a house show in somewhere, if they could do this, where you have, because they do SmackDown shows, they should have a house show for those, for the men, for the guys not going, and the women also not going, for them to be able to at least work that night, so they are getting some work in, because, yeah, they're not going to be able to go, but at least they'd be able to work too. I have no idea what they're going to actually do. This is a bummer, and I know we haven't seen her in a while, but WWE Superstar undergoes a surgery, and a second one was scheduled for later this year. WWE has announced that Raw superstar Ruby Riott underwent right shoulder surgery earlier this week to repair a bilateral injury. I have no idea what that actually means. There's no word yet on when Riott will be back in action, but WWE noted that she will undergo surgery on her left shoulder, the same injury, at a later date. Riott lost to Dana Brooke on the April 22nd main event tapings before Raw. She hadn't been used much since the Riott squad was split up in the 2019 Superstar shakeup. So Sami Zayn was out for 9 months. She will probably be out for 9 months too, so we probably won't see Ruby Riott for the rest of the year. Yeah, we probably won't see her for the rest of the year. It would be awesome if she made a surprise return at the Royal Rumble next year, but that's reaching maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But I hope Ruby Riott has a speedy recovery, and it now makes sense why she wasn't booked for Money in the Bank, because she has been injured, and that makes much more sense now. I wish we would have known about this, she was injured or something, but it looks like she was injured, and that's why they put Dana Brooke instead of Ruby Riott. So it makes more sense now. Speaking of injuries, Johnny Gargano is also working through an injury. It was noted in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer that NXT champion Johnny Gargano has been working through a nagging knee injury. This is one of the main reasons that Gargano has been helping produce some of the Florida NXT house shows. Gargano is reportedly doing much better now, but there's no official word when he will be wrestling at full-time schedule, again, after the upcoming NXT TakeOver 25 event. But honestly, Johnny Gargano needs to stay out of the ring until we get to TakeOver 25. The last match he had was that tag team match with Matt Riddle. I have a feeling they've made that a tag team match, so Matt Riddle could do most of the work, and Johnny Gargano didn't have to, put himself through as much stress as, a regular match would do. So he should not wrestle for the next 2 weeks on any house show. Have him produce whatever. Just don't let this man wrestle until TakeOver 25. If he's losing to Adam Cole, which we'll talk about that next week, if he's losing to Adam Cole, give this guy a month or so off. If he has to go get his knee scoped or whatever he has to do after TakeOver 25, if he can make it there, then you look at it there. The injury was said to have happened sometime in March, and the last time Gargano worked a house show was March 8th in Dade City, when he teamed with Matt Riddle to defeat the Undisputed Era. Since that date, he has worked 2 TV matches, April 10th versus Roderick Strong and May 1st in a 6-man tag match. He also competed in the NXT TakeOver in New York, where he won the NXT Championship. It should also be noted that after NXT TakeOver 25, the plan for the NXT Champion is for the winner of Gargano Cole to face Matt Riddle in Toronto. So I'm going to have to talk about that next week, but I already know who's winning. And the injury note just keeps on rolling, keeps on rolling. We're on the injury. This is unscripted injury moment, because Bobby Fish has been injured as well. It is reported that the NXT superstar Bobby Fish was injured at the live event in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, May 17th. It was not serious enough to send him home, but he did not compete for the rest of the tour. According to the Wrestling Observer, Fish and O'Reilly were facing Oney Lorcan. I always say his name wrong the first time. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Lorcan kicked Fish in the head, and he was knocked silly, even though he looked woozy, and the ref seemed to act like he wanted to stop it. Fish did several more spots, and then the referee threw up the X symbol, and Fish was tended to by the trainer and staff. They quickly got Fish to the back, and he was at the show next night in Bel Air, Maryland, but did not wrestle. He came out with his arm in a sling, and they said he was injured and he could not compete. So, again, that's Johnny Gargano. I hope he gets a speedy recovery. I hope he's good. Bobby Fish, it seems like they might have been putting his arm in a sling, because he said he kicked him in the head. So maybe he had a concussion, and maybe they put the arm in the sling to make it seem like he had another injury, or you kept it away from the concussion, because WWE doesn't really like to talk about concussions. So hope he's okay, because he is going to be in that fatal 4-way ladder match at TakeOver, and it would really suck that last year, he got injured at the beginning of last year, missed almost the entire year last year because of the injury, and then he comes around this year, looks like they could maybe possibly get a chance of winning the tag team titles again, and he gets injured again. I hope he's going to be fine. We'll have to wait and see, but I wish him the best of luck. Rey Mysterio gives an update following his injury. The United States champion Rey Mysterio took to Instagram this week and revealed that he has had a separated AC joint in his left shoulder. Mysterio noted that he has been having trouble lifting his arm. As noted, Mysterio is scheduled to be on Monday's Raw to address the injury and the controversial finish to his own win over Samoa Joe at Money in the Bank. They never said that. They just said we would get the State of the United States Championship. If Rey's injured, we could have like Shane, Vince, Triple H come out with the U.S. title and probably vacate it to give it back to Samoa Joe. They never really said Rey Mysterio was going to be there next week, but I would also imagine he would be there. Rey won the title in the match, which was rushed due to Joe's busted nose, but he did not appear on Raw this week. Rey was seen in Birmingham, Alabama earlier this week, likely visiting with WWE doctors over the shoulder injury. Yeah, when you get sent to Birmingham, Alabama, it's never a good sign. Never a good sign. Mysterio noted that he has been doing physical therapy at the lab in Riverside, California, and he hopes that will improve his range of motion, which has been really bad since the match with Joe. Rey blamed it on taking the Uranagis from Joe. It's like, the Uranagis from Joe, probably because of Rey's size, he lifted him up, and Joe is like extremely strong, and throwing him down, Rey probably just landed bad. I don't blame Samoa Joe. It's just the fact that Rey is older. He's like 40. He's like almost 50 years old probably, and it's just like he's no spring chicken. And him going out there and taking Uranagis like that probably wasn't a good idea for the long run. So hopefully Rey Mysterio is going to be just fine, but let's get out of the injury pool and go talk about Jim Ross, who said most running WWE don't know wrestling. Geez, Jim, you could have fooled me, because that's kind of obvious from what we watch on Raw and SmackDown. NXT, people who run NXT know wrestling. The people who run the main roster, most of them don't know wrestling one bit. WWE Hall of Famer recently, Jim Ross spoke with ESPN to promote Saturday's AEW Double or Nothing. Speaking of promoting, I believe it was Thursday night, the Milwaukee Bucks were taking on the Toronto Raptors. And Marv Albert actually plugged Double or Nothing, and everybody is giving Marv Albert a hard time for mispronouncing Jericho's last name. Hey, the guy's a basketball commentator. He probably he didn't have time to practice it. It was just something that came up in his headset, and he said it in his best ability. The guy's a legend in basketball. Just give the guy a break, okay? Ross asked about his WWE contract negotiation with Vince, but he revealed that he agreed that they wouldn't even discuss an extension. He said, and I quote, I tried to represent our business in an admirable and honorable way since 1974. Ross said when asked about the talks with Vince, I got taken out of the game by the coaches and the team's decision, of which I didn't agree with. So what do you do? Well, you can't bitch all year, or you can do what you signed to do, and when the opportunity comes, like I did here, my contract expired, and he and I agreed we weren't even going to negotiate to extend it. To negotiate to do the same thing I've been doing, something I could not live without. Ross also talked about his role with AEW outside of announcing. I'm going to do all I can do to help this young group, JR said. Share what I got, what knowledge I have, and what expertise I have, whether it will be in the infrastructure of the talent relations department, which, quite honestly, he should be head of talent relations, bar none. I know that's Christopher Daniels. If you want to make them head of talent relations, fine. But I think Christopher Daniels should be the understudy to JR, who actually was the head of talent relations during the bulk of the Attitude Era when all of that talent came in. As a senior advisor, I can advise anyone in the company, especially the president, so I may be as much as Tony Khan's concierge. I have no idea what the hell that is. as any other job. It's a good way to describe what I'm doing as a senior advisor, is helping all of these guys, but I'm not going to get into that world of play calling and strategizing matches. If somebody asks, I'll tell them what I like and didn't like and how I thought it could be better or whatever it may be. He was asked if AEW wanted him to take on more specific roles in talent relations. He clarified he won't be hiring talent and doesn't want to be a head of talent relations. I don't want to be head of talent relations, JR said. I'm not hiring any talent. I'd like to make that clear. People are wearing me out, wanting me to hire them. I don't hire anybody. I don't have that. I would have not signed on if I had to be the EVP and be in charge of that talent roster. I wouldn't have been something I wanted to do. My patience for some of the millennial kids they're hiring that anybody hires, they need a lot of time I don't have. I'm going to help them as much as I can, but that's not my area of expertise. Regarding WWE, Ross said most of the people running the company don't understand pro wrestling. I know, right? He was asked if he was given any reasons why his workload was cut back. I've always had a little bit of creative freedom to express myself, Ross said. Over time, WWE kind of reeled back in. I guess they had some of the research or it was due to personal philosophy. I don't have a clue, but most of them don't understand wrestling. They are in administration there. They are great marketers. They got some brilliant people in WWE. No doubt about it. But I think some of the key decisions are being made without the an inordinate amount of product knowledge, which is not going to make them happy to hear, but that's why I look at that Vince could do better by surrounding himself with different kind of consultants or writer or creative people or whatever. Definitely something Vince needs to do. There is absolutely no reason that Vince McMahon should have the people in charge that he does. It's just unexcusable that you have men and women on this show. They had this video that they have unlisted on the YouTube channel is the creative writers talking about how fun it is to be in WWE. And there's literally some guy on there who says, my expertise is in everything but WWE. So why the fuck are you even in the wrestling business? Why are you even a creative writer? But oh, by the way, everything that you see on WWE television, everything that you see it's nothing that they wrote. Nothing they wrote. Everything is through Vince McMahon's head. Everything. Except for the 24-hour rules, we know. That was USA Network. But I don't buy that as much because, yes, I would love to see the list of ideas that USA Network has come up with because I would, one, want to make fun of anything that they came up with. It was stupid. And two, see if anything actually would make sense. The only thing of it is, most, if not all the people at USA Network, in my opinion, do not care about wrestling. They only care about making that money. They don't know what makes it click. Honestly, if I'm USA Network, I'm paying attention to TNT this coming October. If I'm USA Network, I'm paying attention to tonight's Double or Nothing to see what you need to have done to make this show better. Vince McMahon, some people in WWE are going to be watching tonight. Hell, for all we know, there's people in WWE there in Las Vegas, at StarCast, at Double or Nothing. There were people there in Jacksonville from WWE when they had that Double or Nothing rally. There were people in Vegas from WWE for that ticket rally because they wanted to see what the hype was about. And I guarantee you, Vince McMahon was not happy what he had to hear from everybody in his company. The AEW Double or Nothing is coming tonight. This is going to be the greatest, like Brandy Rhodes, Tony Khan, and Cody Rhodes have all said this is going to be the greatest show we have ever seen. The only thing that I'm going to be afraid of because they have hyped, like, with anything like this, you hype yourself up so much that you could end up being disappointed in the end because there's almost no way that you can live up to the hype. We thought that about All In, and they smashed that out of the park. I am hoping that they do well. The only complaint that I have, and I've already seen it, I've seen pictures come up of what Double or Nothing set's going to look like. May I ask what the fuck somebody was thinking? The Double or Nothing stage looks like somebody watched Impact Wrestling, TNA Impact Wrestling, from 2005, I think, it's like 2006 to 2010, when they had the stage that had the two entrances. Because originally for Impact Wrestling, they had the ring, and they had two entrances on each side of the ring. They had the heels come out one side and the baby faces come out the other. So eventually what they did was they condensed that into one stage, where on like the left side the baby faces came out of, on the right side the heels came out of. Why the fuck would AEW on their first night as a company, the first show as the company, build a set that is anything reminiscent of anything Impact Wrestling has ever done? It's like, I see that, I'm like, why am I looking at an Impact Wrestling show? That's just Double or Nothing. Oh my god, why the fuck would you go with the Impact Wrestling Zone as your type, as anything? That is, if you're watching Double or Nothing and you're reviewing this, that is a point off of this show already. I'm sorry. That set back in the day was ugly as fuck. This set today is not as good either. So AEW right now is a 9 out of 10 for me. Like, if I was to do anything, if everything else was perfect, that's a point off. I don't care what anyone else says. Why the hell, out of everything that you could do, whoever decided to come up with that set needs to be fired immediately. Because I saw All In. I love that set. That set was awesome. Why not just do that again? It's been over half a year. Why not just do that set again? That's 9 months ago. 10 months ago. Whatever. Why the fuck would you go with that? Somebody has to answer me that one. Why the fuck would you go with Impact Wrestling as a design for your set? Come on, Cody. Come on, Bucks. Come on, Kenny. You guys can do better than that. But I'm looking forward to this show. I'm hoping we have the best night of the wrestling year. But as I said, and like anyone else should feel, I don't want AEW to fail. I want them to succeed as best as they can be. But as anyone else knows, WrestleMania gets hyped up way too much every single year, and it never lives up to the hype. This has a chance to live up to the hype, but I don't want to hold my breath because anything can happen. This is the first official show. Everyone's like, oh, but All In was the show for them. No. All In was a Ring of Honor / New Japan production because they used rings from New Japan. They used rings, cameras, and all that stuff from Ring of Honor. They had talent from New Japan and Ring of Honor. So that show was a Ring of Honor / New Japan production with Cody and the Young Bucks, saying they're self-funding it. This will be the test. But again, even if this show is a smash success, the news is out of the way. We're done with the news tonight. As I said, if you want to check out my AEW news for the week, go check out the first 20 or so minutes of my prediction show yesterday. But the show could be a smashing success. We cannot declare this to be, oh, well, they're going to be the best show out there. They're going to be the best everything. No, it's one show. That's like saying, oh, the XFL comes out next year and they had like the first football game is like crisp, clean football. It's the best football game anyone has ever seen. And then everything else is just dog shit. You can't base any new promotion or any new anything on the first thing. It's a first impression. You only have a chance to make a first impression. It's probably going to be a great first impression, but we can't we can't just say, well, this is AEW and this is the best they're going to do, because you don't want that. If I'm AEW, this is the show that you start with. And now when we get to fight, I'm not counting Fyter Fest because I don't think that's going to be on pay-per-view. I think that's just something they're doing for CEO. I don't think that's going to be a pay-per-view. I'm counting Fight for the Following is their next show. So this show is going to be Double or Nothing. If I'm All Elite Wrestling, I want Fight for the Fallen to be better than Double or Nothing. This is the starting point. You want Double or Nothing to be the next bet. You want Fight for the Fallen to be the best show. Then, when you get to All In 2, which I think is what's coming after the Fight for the Fallen, you want it better than Fight for the Fallen. Now, I understand when we get to TV, that's going to be almost damn near impossible to have every single thing be as good or great as Double or Nothing, Fight for the Fallen, or All In 2. When we get to TV is when everything is going to matter. Right now, they could have, like, Double or Nothing, Fight for the Fallen, and All In 2 could be the three best shows you see this year. It's not going to matter if we get to TV and then TV, everything falls apart. Plain and simple. If everything falls apart when we get to TV, then AEW will fall and just crash and burn. And the question is, Tony Khan, Shad Khan, is the one financing this. Go look at Impact Wrestling TNA. Bob Carter was the one paying the bills for TNA for years. For years, because it was a vanity project for his daughter. When Impact Wrestling started hemorrhaging money, he was the one paying the bills, putting money into that company. And he stayed in too fucking long. And the reason he stayed in for so long and refused to sell that company is because he wanted his daughter to have it. Well, here's an idea. Why didn't you let her fucking be the one to take the reins? But he stayed in there for too long. How long is Shad Khan going to want to put his money into this company if it doesn't start making money back? That is a big question. Can Cody, Kenny and the Young Bucks, Chris Jericho, Hangman Page, Brandy Rhodes, and everyone in AEW be able to get this place to be making money in enough time to where they're not, well, Shad Khan's not putting money into it, he's getting back on his investments. Only time will tell. Again, I'm being a realist. I'm not somebody that's like, oh, they're going to be number 2. They're going to be the second coming of the Monday Night Wars or the Wars. We don't know anything until tonight, and then when we get to TV, as I said again, everything that happens tonight at Fight for the Fallen, and if All In 2 is happening in 2 months or so, none of that shit matters if we get to TV and it's a terrible product and it just shits the bed. That is all there is to it. Anybody who thinks, oh well, they have a great roster, they have TV time, they are automatically number 2. Shut the fuck up. They are not number 2 until they actually prove it to us. You can't make a company that has not even had a show yet, yes, it will start tonight. But you really can't even make a company like AEW a number 2 until they have steady TV ratings and like TV deal, and that TV deal is acted upon, and we actually have them going out there, kicking ass, taking names on a weekly basis. Yes, I don't expect every single week of AEW to be hits. You're going to have misses every so often. WWE, WWF back in the day had episodes of Monday Night Raw during the Attitude Era where they were just missed. It was not as good. You're just gonna have that. It's damn near impossible. Even Chris Jericho said, if you have 16 segments on a show, you're not going to hit a home run in every one of those segments. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like this. If you hit on 2 or 3 of those segments, then that's the best you can do sometimes. It's just what we have to accept. AEW is WWE. Now, first off, WWE is making it too easy for AEW not to fail. With what they did at Money in the Bank, this 24/7 title, it's just, there's no reason that AEW should fail. But as we know, fans of wrestling from the Attitude Era to the Ruthless Aggression Era to people who don't watch wrestling anymore, could we get any of those guys, men and women, back into wrestling with AEW? Only time will tell. I want to see what AEW does. I can't wait for tonight. All Elite Wrestling brings us Double or Nothing. I can't wait. If you haven't seen the press conference that they did last night, it was kind of funny. I'm kind of hoping Kylie Ray comes out with the music she came out to, because I'll fucking sit there dying laughing while it goes on. Other than that, great show. Can't wait for it tonight. AEW, Double or Nothing. I will have my review up tomorrow at noon. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at TheFranz. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFranz08. Let me know what you guys think of everything, the few things we talked about today, because it's been a slow news week for sure. It feels like all the major media people are down at StarCast in Vegas, so a lot of news, that there was any news, hasn't really been broken as much as we hoped. Hopefully next week with episode 72, we will be back on to a lot more news. We'll have Raw and SmackDown. And here's the thing. In October or so on, if the AEW news starts getting bigger and bigger, we might have this split up to AEW, unscripted WWE edition on Saturdays, and Sundays will be the AEW edition. We'll see what happens. But for now, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the AEW official Double or Nothing review. Till then, my name is TheFranz, and I will see you guys later.